There's a stadium in Brazil where the crowd noise has killed people, literally stopped their hearts from pure emotion. Another venue in Australia where 100,000 people go completely silent at the exact same moment, and no one knows why. I've found 5 sports venues that do things to human psychology that shouldn't be possible. And what happens at number 1 will make you question everything you think you know about crowds. Here's the thing about sports venues. They show you humanity at full volume. Strip away money, age, nationality, everyone's equal when their team scores, or when their heart breaks. These 5 places have spent decades perfecting that magic, creating atmosphere that no resort or landmark can touch, because nothing beats thousands of strangers sharing the exact same emotion at the exact same moment. Madison Square Garden calls itself the world's most famous arena, and honestly, it's earned that title. Ali's biggest fights happened here, Jordan's clutch shots, Sinatra's sold-out shows. This place attracts peak human performance like a magnet. But here's what makes MSG different from every other famous venue. Location is everything. Picture this. 300,000 people flow through Penn Station underneath, while world-class drama unfolds above, every single day. That collision creates energy you can literally feel on the sidewalk. And when 20,000 New Yorkers get excited at the same time, the building shakes. Not kidding. It actually vibrates. Game days turn Midtown Manhattan into something totally different. New Yorkers who never make eye contact, suddenly they're hugging strangers in team jerseys. The city that never cares becomes a family. It's wild to see. But Manhattan's energy, that's nothing compared to what happens when 100,000 Australians get together. The Melbourne Cricket Ground holds 100,000 people. Think about that number. That's bigger than most entire cities, all crammed into one space, all staring at a patch of grass smaller than 2 football fields. When it's full, you're looking at one of the biggest human gatherings on the planet. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Australians play this sport called AFL. Imagine rugby. But the players have zero protection. They launch themselves through crowds of guys built like Greek gods. And when someone makes an incredible catch, the crowd noise registers on earthquake equipment, 3 miles away. Seriously. But here's what makes this a travel destination. Australians don't just watch cricket, they camp out for 5 days straight. Families set up like they're at a festival. Gourmet picnics, 4 generations hanging out together. Strangers become neighbors. They share food and stories while cricket occasionally interrupts the party. The place has an amazing sports museum too, plus tours that show you areas even players don't see. But Australia's organized fun is just warm-up compared to Brazil's beautiful chaos. The Mericaña Stadium. This isn't just where Brazilians watch football, this is where they worship it. 80,000 people don't sit in the stands. They perform. And what they create? It's bigger than anything happening on the field. The drumming starts 4 hours before kickoff. Hundreds of drummers creating these incredible rhythms that sync everyone's heartbeat. What begins as music becomes hypnosis. 80,000 people breathing together, singing together, moving as one. Visitors say they lose themselves completely, like becoming part of something way bigger. When the 2 biggest Rio teams play each other, the entire city shuts down. Banks close early, schools cancel classes, whole neighborhoods empty out as everyone heads to the stadium. The city's productivity actually drops on game days, because when an entire population focuses on one thing, work becomes impossible. But even Brazilian passion looks calm compared to English tradition that's been building for centuries. Wembley Stadium is football's Vatican, where the sport's biggest ceremonies happen. That famous arch isn't just for show either. It's an engineering masterpiece holding up the entire roof, without blocking a single seat's view. Beautiful and functional, FA Cup finals turn London into a pilgrimage destination. Fans travel from all over Britain carrying traditions passed down for generations. Scarves their grandfathers wore, Lucky Chance learned as kids, rituals performed exactly the same way for decades. Wembley becomes where England's DNA shows itself most purely. The stadium tours are incredible. You'll see the royal box where actual kings and queens watched history happen. Walk through tunnels where legends gathered courage before their biggest moments. Touch real trophies that make grown men cry. These aren't just backstage areas. They're shrines to human achievement. During big tournaments, London becomes football's temporary capital. Fans from dozens of countries create instant communities in pubs and parks, making friendships that last decades. The city's usual coldness disappears because football becomes universal language. But even Wembley's grandeur can't match the concentrated perfection of America's most intimate cathedral. Fenway Park proves that smaller beats bigger every single time. While other stadiums chase bigger and louder, Fenway perfected closer and deeper. At 111 years old, it's baseball's oldest active cathedral, and every single imperfection has become sacred. The Green Monster. That 37-foot wall in left field. It breaks baseball's rules completely. Home runs that clear fences everywhere else. Bounce back for singles here. Pop-ups that should be easy outs. Sail over for home runs. It's baseball played with different physics, creating moments that are literally impossible anywhere else. 3 generations of Boston families share the same wooden seats, worn smooth by decades of nervous hands and celebrating bodies. Grandfathers teach grandsons exactly when to stand during Sweet Caroline. Mothers pass down how to properly score a game. Sons learn that leaving before the 9th inning breaks family law. The scoreboard still works exactly like it did in 1934. 2 guys inside the Green Monster manually change every number, while modern stadiums flash digital everything. Fenway proves human craftsmanship creates connection that technology can't touch. Game days turn the neighborhood into Boston's living room. Same bars serve the same families, generation after generation. Bartenders know what your grandfather drank. Season tickets get passed down in wills. These aren't just transactions, they're inheritance ceremonies. Each of these venues proves the same thing. Real experiences come from shared intensity, not individual consumption. Whether it's 100,000 Australians celebrating athletic art, or 3 generations of Bostonians keeping family traditions alive, these places create connections that outlast the games themselves. Most travel is about collecting moments like photographs, proof you were somewhere. These venues offer the opposite. They dissolve you into something bigger, give you temporary membership in communities that existed before you arrived, and will continue after you leave. The best destinations don't just show you something new. They reveal something true about human nature you'd forgotten. These 5 places specialize in that revelation, using sport as an excuse to show what we're capable of together. Sports venues might seem like weird travel priorities, but these 5 prove that the most powerful destinations are where humans gather to remember what we can do together. They're labs for collective emotion, universities for shared experience, cathedrals for group transcendence. Pack smart. Bring tissues, comfortable shoes, and an open heart. Because sometimes the best trips aren't about where you go. They're about who you become when you get there. Because a stadium isn't just where a game happens. It's where people come together to feel something at the same time. It's where hope is tested and where memories are made. It's where strangers high-five, cry, cheer, and hold their breath together, all for the same reason. These places are more than sports arenas. They're emotional classrooms, where we learn how much we care. They're stages for some of our biggest feelings. And sometimes they feel almost spiritual, like modern-day cathedrals, built not for worship, but for wonder. In a world that often feels divided, stadiums remind us how powerful it is to come together, to wear the same colors, to sing the same songs, to believe in something, or someone, Sako, as a group. They remind us that we don't always need to win to feel alive. We just need to feel together. So yes, these venues might look like concrete and lights, but they're also full of stories, full of joy and heartbreak, full of proof that we're better and stronger when we show up side by side. And that's something worth traveling for. Unity. They are laboratories for collective emotion, where thousands of hearts rise and fall in the same instant. Universities of shared experience, where we remember what it feels like to care about something together. And yes, cathedrals for group transcendence, places where time freezes, and you forget where you end and everyone else begins. In an era obsessed with individualism, places like these remind us that we are not alone. That greatness is not a solo act. That our best stories, the ones we tell for the rest of our lives, are almost always shared. It's not really about who wins or loses, not in the long run. What you remember is standing next to your dad, or your best friend, or a stranger who suddenly felt like family. You remember the way the crowd exploded after a goal, or how quiet it got after a miss. You remember looking around and thinking, I'll never forget this night. That's why people keep coming back. Not just for the game, but for the feeling. Even years later, long after the players have changed, the stadium holds those memories. It becomes part of the city's identity, and part of yours too. It's where people laugh, cry, scream, sing, and sometimes even heal. It's where we learn that emotion is not something to hide, it's something to share. That's why these places matter. Not just because they're big or famous, but because they remind us how powerful we are when we feel things together. They teach us that connection is what makes moments matter. So no, sports venues aren't strange places to travel to. They're some of the most human places on Earth. And if you open yourself up to the experience, they'll stay with you long after the final whistle.